Santino here, and can you believe the rate at which the Crash and Burn Wrestling Podcast is growing? It's incredible. It's going to be the biggest thing in the world. It's going to take over the internet universe. Like and subscribe, comment, follow them for all the latest episodes. Trust me, you want to get in now while it's early because it's straight to the top, baby. Crash and Burn Wrestling Podcast. It's number one. Crash and Burn.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Crash and Burn Wrestling Podcast. Today is it's a small little episode as we are going to be reviewing our time machine, as we've got someone from the Moshcast on this episode, so glad we gave him an opportunity to come on here, and we're traveling our time machine all the way back to 2003 of No Mercy, which took place in Baltimore, Maryland. That isn't far from me. So, as no further ado, I'm going to welcome my co-host, as seen on the Moshcast, Emilio.
Thanks for having me. Really excited to finally make my debut on Crash and Burn, and let's get this done and have a good episode.
Okay. As you can see it from Emilio, we are in the time machine right now, going back to 2003. Which did take place on October 19th in 2003. As I roll down the card here, we're going to kick off with some Cruiserweight action for the Cruiserweight Championship. Tajiri defeated Rey Mysterio to retain. For me, honestly, that match was actually fun to watch. It's always cool to watch the Cruiserweights at the time, as I've said before. Tajiri and Rey Mysterio have had a really fun match, an exciting match against each other. As Tajiri is like spitting the green mist and a lot of great reversible counters here. But it's kind of weird, how the match ended because, you saw a fan jump into the ring. I think I was trying to attack Rey Mysterio, and then Rey Mysterio got distracted. Tajiri hit him with the knee. 1, 2, 3. Tajiri certainly retains his his Cruiserweight Championship, which was actually a pretty good match. Definitely the highlight of this is when Tajiri jumps onto the ropes, does a handstand jump onto the ropes, and then Rey drop kicks him. I thought that was a great counter in the match. Definitely a very technique match here. And Emilio, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I haven't seen this in a while, but from what I remember, just the athleticism of the Cruiserweights, especially back in the time when they were just starting out, it was crazy just to see them and what they could do, because it's a lot different from how they used to perform, just these big muscular giants just going at it in the ring. So seeing these guys' agility was really cool. But for the match, I would kind of agree with you, because I do remember the fan running in trying to attack Rey Mysterio. That was just such a weird ending, but I definitely have to go back and watch it again for sure. But what an incredible match that was.
Mm-hmm. All right, next match. Chris Benoit defeated A-Train by submission. For me personally, I thought the match was solid. It was definitely, I know Benoit got his ass kicked during the match. With A-Train against A-Train. A-Train tried to get him self-disqualified, especially, how he suplexed him and Benoit landed right head first in his shoulder. And as the way the match ends, you have A-Train trying to big boot him onto the corner, gets his foot caught in the chair. Benoit tosses him around, puts him in the crossface. A-Train taps out. Benoit hits the victory. Overall, I think the match was solid. The match wasn't bad in my opinion. It's just very forgettable to see. A-Train is a forgettable athlete. You may know him today in the Performance Center as one of the trainees. He used to be Prince Albert, Lord Tensai in the PG era. But overall, very solid match. Emilio.
Yeah, it was a pretty good match too, and like you said, it could be pretty forgettable, and it could have been a little better, but all around it was pretty solid. Especially because he was getting his ass whooped in pretty much the entire time. But way to twist the finish and just an incredible match all around.
Okay. The next match, Zack Gowen defeated Matt Hardy with Shannon Moore at ringside. It's hard to believe that Zack Gowen, even though he had a short-lived career in WWE, the dude only has one leg to succeed in the business because I don't know what happened to his other leg, but the dude's performing in one leg, wrestling. You had seen him get his ass kicked with blood everywhere, attacked by Brock Lesnar on an episode of SmackDown. I know Zack Gowen beating Matt Hardy in 5 minutes. I know Gowen did a botch during the match, but it's just incredible how he did it to defeat Matt Hardy. Definitely a big win in his career, doing a moonsault with one leg on top of the ropes. But the match overall was okay. 5 minutes, not bad, but the charisma Zack Gowen had at the time, it's just unbelievable that he could do something like this, even though the dude had, a short career in WWE. Now he's got a wife, he has kids, and living his best life. So overall, Zack Gowen is a forgettable guy. Just remember, if you've seen him, he has only one leg. Emilio.
Yeah, I agree with you. This match was a little shorter on the short side, but for obvious reasons. But and I believe it was also his first singles match win too of his career.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, just an incredible athlete all around. I mean, if you can do it with one leg, then you can pretty much do anything you set your mind to. So it's pretty cool to see.
Mm-hmm. Even though he got his ass kicked by Brock Lesnar, even though his mother was at ringside watching him.
Yeah, I remember.
His brother
that.
too. On an episode of SmackDown. All right, next match. It is the Bastion Brothers defeated the APA in a tag team match. I do remember leading up to this. I remember the Bastion Brothers manager Shaniqua. I remember got a huge clothesline lariat from Bradshaw, and overall, I think the match was pretty good. Definitely some No Mercy in that match. Definitely a good tag team match to be exact. The Bastion Brothers are underrated, even though Doug Basham and I are actually friends on Facebook, if anyone didn't know. Definitely the end of the match showed No Mercy as Shaniqua came in while the ref wasn't seeing it, whacked, I think, Bradshaw with a pole, and the Bastion Brothers carried the victory. And I'm sure Shaniqua was still recovering from pain after that lariat Bradshaw gave her. So overall, I think it was a solid tag team match, in my honest opinion. Emilio, you have any thoughts?
I don't really remember this one too much, but I do vividly remember Bradshaw getting hit. I think it was like a pole or some kind of club, like you mentioned.
A pole.
Yeah, it was that's what I remember vividly, and they took the win. But other than that, I don't really have any thoughts, just because I can't really remember the whole match in its entirety.
A match that I'm scared to talk about here. Mr. McMahon with Sable defeated Stephanie McMahon with Linda McMahon by a total knockout, which if Stephanie McMahon lost, she would get fired. Or no, it was a loser gets fired match. Jobs are on the line. As you've seen Mr. McMahon, Stephanie getting to run SmackDown, and Vince, just because you're not impressed with your daughter's work and knowing how much effort she put in this, you literally have to get mad at her and want a match with her and literally see her get her ass kicked by Brock Lesnar, 10th A-Train, and all that sort of stuff. You have her mother sticking up for her, and you even have Sable literally with Vince. And literally it's just kind of hard to see. You see your own father throwing your daughter around like a rag doll. And, the match was good. Stephanie had a lot of hope in the match, and Vince was taking all the heat. But, of course, Vince was a true asshole in that era, like he was in the Attitude Era. Vince was, jacked at the time. But I think the match was all right, but it was just, I'm sure it's weird to see when you have a father against your own daughter match, to be exact. But I knew Vince would never lose his job at the chairman, and Stephanie, I think after she was general manager, I think Paul Heyman stuck up and became the general manager. But it's just, whoever thought this match would happen? Seriously. But overall, Vince carried the win, and I'm surprised Shane wasn't even part of that storyline, to be exact. But overall, not much to say here. How the match ends is Vince, uses a pole to knock Stephanie out cold, and Vince getting low blowed and that sort of stuff. But Stephanie was no longer the general manager, and that's to be exact. Emilio, feel free to go.
I remember watching this one when I was a little kid, and my first thoughts were like, what kind of dad would do this to his own child back then? And I was just kind of horrified to see it, but especially the ending where you see him choking Stephanie with the pipe, the pole, and yeah, for sure I thought she had it the whole match until of course he altered the rules because Vince will be Vince, just so he can come up with the victory. But other than that, I think it was a pretty good, solid match. I think it went on a little bit too long, in my opinion.
The match was only 9 minutes and 24 seconds, so I think it was a decent match.
Yeah. But in my opinion, I think they could just made it a little bit shorter, but that's pretty much about it.
Okay. Next match, Kurt Angle defeats John Cena by submission. You see John Cena rapping around, being his little rap guy. I thought it was a cool lead up to this match, as you see, John Cena roasting Kurt Angle and stuff, and Kurt Angle comes on an episode of SmackDown with, I think, a Jaguars jersey, mimicking John Cena, dressed up, trying to be him, and then you have a midget Kurt Angle come out and put him in an ankle lock, which was actually a rememberable segment in SmackDown. And you do have Cena cut a promo on Angle. And then you see Cena before the match starts saying, "Oh, you see Kurt Angle, y'all chanting he sucks, and his shirt saying you suck. Well, guess what? You should change it because he swallows." So Kurt Angle and Cena had their match. Definitely amazing spots between those two. And you've seen them two have incredible matches against each other in their career. You see Kurt Angle trying to German suplex John Cena off the ring onto the hard floor. You see John Cena doing this leg drop onto Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle's hanging up on the ropes. A lot of great chemistry between the two of them. But definitely a good match. Definitely a really good match. A good 18 and a half minute match with Cena and Angle here. But I think Kurt Angle picking up the win was the right move here. But I knew John Cena winning would have been a good move, a big highlight in his career. Because that was that was the stage. That was the next before evolving to who he is now. But overall, a really good match. I think Kurt Angle got to pick up the victory, which doesn't make me mad, but overall, very good. Emilio, you can go.
Yeah, this was actually a pretty good overall solid match, too. I really loved watching Kurt Angle wrestle back then. And if I remember correctly, too, I think it was John Cena reversed something on Kurt Angle and like a DDT, and then it made Kurt Angle bleed. So you don't really see that anymore either in pro wrestling, which is also cool. But like you said, yeah, I was pretty satisfied with Kurt Angle winning this match, although I would have been satisfied with either one because it would have been a highlight in Cena's career. But other than that, it was a pretty solid match.
Okay. The next match, the Big Show defeated Eddie Guerrero to become the new United States champion. Before the lead up to this, I don't know, it might have been part of the rivalry when Eddie gave Big Show a burrito and then Big Show shit himself. I do remember when Eddie sprayed Big Show with golden dirt, even when Big Show wrecked Eddie's fancy card that he had when he smashed it, and then threw Eddie onto the pole when Eddie ended up having glass onto his skin, throwing Eddie onto the top of the car on SmackDown. And then Eddie had to end up having band-aids on his back. And it was like 32 pieces of glass he had to get off. But, the match I thought was really good. You definitely had some Eddie Guerrero moments in there, when Eddie throws the chair into the ring, whacks Big Show with the garbage can lid. The ref gets, them two really had, I think this was a great match in my opinion, even though it only lasted 11 minutes. I thought the match was really, really good. But not one of the best matches ever, but I definitely, was the ref was having a hard time giving up after Big Show was giving him a giant leg drop on top of him. Poor Nick Patrick, who was the referee of the match. Eddie was even tried his hardest to conquer that giant, but even though Eddie has always something up his sleeve, Big Show got the job done by choke slamming him up in midair, chest slaps to the chest, ending it with a giant choke slam. 1, 2, 3. Big Show wins the title. And, Eddie and Chavo have an argument after there. And then Big Show, as I said, after getting interviewed, saying that he did it and knew he could do it, because even when Eddie lies, cheats, and steals, Big Show got the job done, which actually I'm good with that win. So, Emilio, feel free to go.
Yeah, you definitely had some classic Eddie moments in this match, especially when they exposed the turnbuckle and he forced Big Show's head right in there, and like the trash can lady said, and I think there was brass knuckles in that match, if I remember.
Eddie whacked him with it and put him under the apron.
Yeah, so you definitely had a lot of different move styles and tactics coming from Eddie's side, so which was pretty cool to see. But overall, I was pretty satisfied, even especially with the time. It was definitely action-packed for 11 minutes. So I really liked it in overall.
Okay. Now we're going to get ready for the main event. And this main event, kind of odd with it, but it was Brock Lesnar defeating The Undertaker to retain the WWE Championship. Overall, they did have a very heated rivalry, especially when Brock Lesnar chokes Undertaker with the chain. They end up having the first ever biker chain match where you have to climb up and grab the chain and then you get that full control of it. What I would have done is have the chain straps on, like, either have like a dog collar match or have like the chain on their wrist like a strap match. Which, if you're going to have a biker chain match, you're supposed to have that on their wrist and then they beat the crap out of each other. But that kind of disappointed me. It didn't make sense, which I was hoping in the match we would have like a lot of violence, a lot of blood, which the match did take forever. But I thought Undertaker would have had it here. But it kind of disappointed me with that, though. I really did wish that we could have expected blood and more weapons. All you really had was the steel steps in the match. And all you could win was by pinfall or submission, which, Brock defeated him by an F5, but then I remember when Undertaker was climbing up to get the chain and the lights went out in the arena, which was unexpected. And then of course Nunzio randomly was climbing up to grab the chain as well, but then Taker attacked him, and then Vince steps up and attacks Taker for Brock to retain, which Vince and Lesnar were really tight. But overall, the match felt very long, but it was very obvious for Lesnar to retain. But for that, though, this was much towards the end of the American Badass gimmick for The Undertaker himself, because I think after he got buried alive, that was the end of it. But overall, solid ending. And Emilio, you can go before we get to the ratings.
Sweet. So, yeah, definitely a classic match between two of WWE's biggest superstars. And yeah, I believe it was towards the end of the American Badass's career, but it's just crazy. I would have liked to see a little more action in it, like you were saying too, especially like blood, and because they had using chains and stuff like that. But it did drag on a little too long. But overall, I was pretty satisfied in my opinion. I mean, of course, you're gonna have Brock win because he was being tight with Vince at the time, and but overall, it was a pretty solid match.
All right, as we get to the ratings, my rating overall, the show was not bad. I'm going to give it let's see. How about I'm going to give it, I don't know, maybe an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. I mean, I did enjoy it, but I'm gonna give it an 8. So Emilio, you can go.
I was gonna give it an 8 too. It was pretty good, and it's definitely gives you a throwback of basically a lot of the old WWE legends. And but I would have liked to see a little bit more action, but it's not the best and it's not the worst. But I would give it an 8 as well.
Okay. Thanks for watching another episode here on the Crash and Burn Wrestling Podcast. I hope you all enjoyed. Please comment below what you all thought of the pay-per-view and rate the pay-per-view, what you all thought. Please give a follow to everyone on their socials. And I know not everyone could make it tonight. I know Lucas had things personally. AJ fell asleep. Josh was out for the night. And Jason went to SmackDown. But I thank Emilio for stepping up for this. And I hope you had a good time, Emilio. You're welcome anytime. And not much to say, but hope you all enjoyed, and like and subscribe and comment and give everyone a follow and give the podcast a follow.
Sweet. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'll definitely be on episodes that I can be, and just hopefully the others will be there too. AJ's just got to stop sleeping all the time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and thanks for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe.
All right, everyone. We will see you tomorrow night for SummerSlam 2015.
Crash and burn!